Good afternoon. It's a sunny afternoon, and I'm grateful. I'm Dr. Oliver Davis. I'm the City Council at Large for the South Bend Common Council member, and this is my 14th year on the City Council. 12 years as the 6th District Council person, 2 years now as the at-large, 1 year as President of the Council, 9 years as Vice President of the Council, and I share all that with you out of full greatness to the people of South Bend who have allowed me to serve on this council for all these years, because I'm excited and do that. Even though it's a sunny day here, yesterday it was not a sunny day. Yesterday it was a cloudy day. It was a cloudy day full of disrespect. Aretha Franklin said R-E-S-C-P-E, I can't even say it right now, R-E-S-P-E-C-T. And that's what we say. Sometimes you don't feel like it, you can't even spell it because of what happened. But somebody gets in your personal space and they're all over your face like that and say they've been the chair of the committee. Just because I was the president of this council, just because I was the vice president of this council, did not allow me to make rules or to throw somebody else. I have Miss Councilwoman Karen White, I have former Councilmember Henry Davis. If I had a disagreement with them, if they were council, they get to sit. No matter who, if you're a Democrat, if you're a Republican, if you're black, if you're white, Hispanic, Asian, you get to sit. And that's the key thing. Yesterday at the Rules Committee, I recognized that I'm not on the Rules Committee. I've chaired the Rules Committee. I was the president. I was the vice president for 9 years. I've been on the Rules Committee. I know the Rules Committee laws. And so it was a public meeting that was announced. A public meeting. That means the media was there. That means people were there. That means everybody was there. And so I go to my normal seat. I did not even go to get my name tag because I'm not a member of the committee. But I can sit. You all gave me the right to sit, and I was there to sit, to observe, to see what happened. So I sat in my seat, just like Rosa Parks sat in her seat, and I sat in my seat, and all of a sudden, the chair of the committee, Miss Thomas Morgan, tells me that I have to sit in the audience. And I ask, what's the rule? What's the municipal code? And she said, I'm the chair of the committee. Then our parliamentarian, Attorney Bob Palmer, says I have to sit in the audience. Again, as you can see in the video, I asked, what's the municipal code? We don't just make up rules. I don't care if you're the president of the United States, the governor of the state of Indiana, or the mayor of the city of South Bend. You have to follow the rules. We're not above the law, okay? And so I sat in my seat. He came over to me in a posture to tell me to leave and move off the stage. I did not. I sat in my seat. Then he goes out to get the police officer to remove me for disorderly conduct. I must praise our South Bend police officers, because the South Bend police officer educated our attorney, who should have known the rules, about the fact that he is not going to get involved in a non-disorderly situation. And he did not come in, made a phone call to his authorities who reminded him of who he is, and he did not come on the rules. You can see all that on different video. I didn't make that up. That's real. Miss Rachel Thomas Morgan leaned into me. I stayed still. If I had stood up, it would have looked like I was going to fight her. It would have looked like I was going to abuse her. She would have definitely said that I harassed her. I am a licensed clinical social worker. I have to abide by my own laws outside of being a public official. And I stayed in my seat because if you could have seen the way she was leaning into me, violating personal space. We talk about that in counseling. When I work with my children in school, we talk about personal space. You back up. And she's leaning in my personal space. If I, as a man, would have leaned in her personal space, that's a violation. And she said, I was disrespectful to her. You are in my personal space. That's my personal space. Been my personal space since my mama let me out. Back in the time, it became my space. Okay, when I was 8 pounds, it was in my space. And now I'm 56 years old, still my space. And I wasn't moving unless there was a rule. Then they said to me that, oh, you come up with the rule. It's not my responsibility to come up with the rule. It's their responsibility. And Bob Palmer was in error and totally needs to be removed as our attorney when he violated my rights and tried to get me arrested as a public official, your public official, tried to get me arrested because I sat in my seat. Hey, I'm from Alabama, okay, where Miss Rosa Parks was. I didn't mind. For the first time in my life, I said, I'm about to be arrested. And I started thinking about my ancestors in Black History Month. And I sat there, because my parents had to sit in the back of the seat. I became president of Transpo when my parents were sat in the back of the seat. I sat there, and I stayed still, and I asked for the record. And then she said to me, we may have to cancel the meeting. And I said, go ahead. Because if she was going to recall another meeting, I was coming back to that meeting. Last year in July, on the first week of July, Miss Sherry Bowden Simpson and I came to a Rules Committee. They met us at the door and told us that we were not allowed to be in the meeting. I said, what? They threw us out the meeting. I didn't go to the public then. I kept it quiet. But they threw us out the meeting last year. And I, who chaired this meeting years ago, who was a part of this, never threw anybody else. Councilman Henry Davis is here. Councilwoman White is here. We all talked about it. Whether it was Dave Votter, who was a Republican, and he's white, I'm black, didn't matter. If you're an elected official, you were in the room. Because you were in the room. You earned your right. And so last year, they threw us out, said we could not come when they dealt with those things in July. I was stunned. I sat in my seat over there and said, wow. This year, after we heard the counsel of Luke Britt, who's the public access director for the state of Indiana, he sent his letter to the council and advised them that all public officials, when you're discussing us, need to be done publicly. Publicly. I'm a public official, so you got to deal with me publicly. I don't have a private life. People stop me, Walmart, all the stores. Council, you got a minute? Council, you got a minute? Council, you got a minute? Come by the house. Council, you got a minute? Council, yeah, I have a minute. Because I'm your minute. Y'all elected me to be your minute. Okay? Call me at 11 o'clock. I won't even say who. Well, I didn't care, because I'm his minute. You got my point? So therefore, when we got thrown out last year, that was totally disrespectful. This year, we said it's open. Bob Palmer got up there like this, an executive session meeting. Even if it was an executive session meeting, I have a seat at the executive session. I have a seat at the caucus that y'all gave to me. I'm the longest African-American male that's been on this council. And in Black History Month, I was disrespected. I was hurt. I couldn't hardly sleep last night. It was painful to go through that. Leaning down. Sorry, Dan. I had to show you. Leaning down and saying that's respect. If she considers that's disrespect, if she considers that respectful to me, then she needs to resign. Because that's not respectful. As more women get into power, they have to understand they cannot do the same thing they have been accusing men of doing when they were in power. Is this the real issue? I teach policy at several universities, and I ask them, follow the rules. I'm the chair. I'm the president. Whoever cannot create the rules. That's not fair. And I am calling for a rules committee against Ms. Rachel Thomas Morgan because that was disrespectful. That was harassment. And then I went in the back. To try to cool off because I lost my ID. And Councilwoman, our second district person, came in there, Miss Ophelia Gooden Rogers. I went in her office, and she said, you looked terrible out there tonight. You look terrible. You look like a download nigger. Wow. And I said, what? You look like a download nigger, and you're sitting up there, and you have a doctorate. I don't respect that. I don't respect your doctorate. Nobody respects your doctorate. I said the people of South Bend have elected me in this council 4 times. They respect my doctrine. They respect who I am. You don't call me a nigger just because I'm black. And I don't allow white people to do that. Why would I allow a black person to do that? Nigger's nigger no matter who says it. Whether it's a black person, a white person, green person, Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, whoever. Don't take me back there. Don't do that. And she said, you're down low this. And I walked out of her office. Where you going? You going? You running? Yeah, I'm running. I'm running away from her calling me sexual harassment. I'm running from that. I'm filing a grievance against her, the 2nd District. That was out of order. Out of order to do that. I went right into President Lee. He said, well, you should have come down there with me. I said, you were the one under investigation, not me. If I was under investigation, which I was years ago, they got mad at me, said something else. I'm going to go into it now. I brought my attorney, and the whole council weighed in. So I have been on both sides. I've been under investigation, and I've been the chair of the committee. Okay? Ms. Rachel Thomas Morgan has only been the vice president for less than 2 months. And last year, at a meeting in November, she was very rude to me. I held him with that. I am tired. I watched the citizens of South Bend come before the president's floor, get yelled at, get screamed at by a former president, by so many things. I'm tired of that. And then I've experienced it myself. People have a right to come up and say, I disagree with you, Councilman Davis, or you haven't called me back, Councilman Davis. Whatever, that's cool. Stop talking to Mike. Stop doing it. That's wrong. The ACLU even had to come in here and tell us that. That's wrong. Okay? I don't care who you are. Black people, white people, old people, young people, gay, straight, need to feel safe coming to the council. Whether you go to church, whether you love God, don't love God, that's not my point. We're government. We're your government. And when you don't feel safe, those of us who are up here don't feel safe, something's wrong. Okay? And so I had to tell President Lee, Kenneth Lee, who was the 1st District, you were the one on the investigation. And he stayed there, and then afterwards, I don't even know he should have been allowed to come back in the meeting because the whole meeting was one. And so, but he came back up, so fine. And as soon as he came back up, Miss Ophelia Rogers said, see, after the meeting, I'll be right down there. Well, because you don't know the rules. You chose to do that. That's fine. Other people chose to go to the back of the bus. Rosa Parks stayed. Okay? So if she was ignorant enough to go down there, okay, Rosa Parks stayed. I know my rules. I chaired the city. I led us to so many different developers all over the city. I could point to them. I know my rules. I came in here, didn't have no grade. I'm grayed up now, guys. got a bad knee, got a lot of stuff. Okay? Told my daughter, don't bury me in Alabama. Bury me right here now, right here in South Bend, right over there. Put on the bow tie, the yellow bow tie and a suit, and I'm good. All right? Because the people of South Bend have respected me. RSPECT. Got it right. Because we have to have respect. Everybody here needs respect. All you all need respect. Okay? Whether if you have a degree, if you don't have a degree, bachelor's, master's, if you got a doctorate like me, I still need respect. Your doctorate doesn't matter. Nobody respects you. That was wrong. She was wrong. Miss Rachel Thomas Morgan was wrong. An attorney probably just said, well, you violated an attorney. Just because an attorney tells you to jump in the lake, you don't jump in the lake. Okay? Mama didn't raise no fool. Daddy didn't either. And so they taught me to speak up. And yesterday, they taught me to sit down. And so I sat down. And I sat down for the people of South Bend who need to make sure that what our elected leaders are doing is correct. And we need to have every single rules committee. We need to make sure that we all live in our residency. We need to make sure that we don't have any conflicts with things that are going on in our life. Y'all know my life. And so I've shared with that. I thank y'all for coming out here. There are people who want to share their comments for a second, and then we're gone.
Can we ask questions?
Yes, you can ask questions. Can they share this real quick, and then I'll sit down. Go ahead. One quick minute, and then go ahead.
Hi, I'm Trina Robinson, NAACP President. I'm here today in support of Oliver Davis. I'm so dismayed that we have to deal with what we call systemic racism. There is absolutely no reason why a black man has to have someone stand over him as if he's a second-class citizen. I don't care if it's a black woman, a white woman, a green woman, or whatever. You have to respect one another. And for her to do what she did is totally disrespectful. That is something that the NAACP does not stand for. And we are here today to let the community know that we must stand strong. We must take a stance when situations like this happen. Everyone wants to say that there's no such thing as racism. We want to call the race card. No, it is systemic. It is what it is, and we need to deal with it, and we will address it. Thank you.
Peace and love, peace and love. I'm here as a representative of the New Black Power movement in South Bend, a very, very quite well friend. We represented with you when we first started, so we're here to support you now. What we seen yesterday and what we seen online this morning, y'all say Rosa Parks, to me it reminded me of the people that was at the lunch lines getting ketchup poured on them. And they had to sit there and be quiet and reserve themselves. You said it already that if you would have stood up, it would have gave a image of you that we all know isn't you. That in my neighborhood, in my neck of the woods, anybody that does that, it wouldn't have happened that type of way. You know what I mean? You just don't do that type of thing to people. You know, you couldn't do that to a Henry Davis. She couldn't do that. She couldn't do that to a Karen White. Somebody's going to speak up. Somebody's going to do something if it's not one of them. So, and for her to do that to you and you able to keep your composure, I salute you as a black man, because that would have pushed us back 50 years. But at the same time, we had to stand up as a community, black, white, Mexican, Latino, Asian, whatever, gay, whatever. We had to come together, because if you give people an inch, you see what Donald Trump is doing. If you give people an inch, they're going to go for the whole mile. And we're going to be sitting here for something bigger than just a finger waving in your face. And we called this out the last time in 2016. So we got to stand on it today as a community and let them know we are not going for none of that. No corruption, no none of that. Respect us, and we're going to respect you back. Peace and love. One more last one. Oh, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Dawn Jones, concerned citizen and activist. And I'm here because I'm concerned about the video that I saw. What I saw was provocation. And I know within the school corporation, we would suspend students for provocation. And I am, like the previous speaker, I'm very proud of Dr. Davis and him holding his composure the way that he did, and understanding that what would happen to him as an African-American male standing up. That's the whole point of the provocation, is to make him stand up. But he didn't. He sat down, as he says, and I'm very proud of him for doing that. And it shows leadership. It shows our children, our community, what we should do when there's provocation, because it happens all the time. It happens in the schools, it happens on the streets, it happens in the stores, it happens wherever we go. So this was a clear demonstration of who Dr. Davis is. And I'm very glad and excited to be here to support him.
Thank you.
Oliver, can you just summarize like the action steps you want to see come out of this?
I hope through all the media attention and through all the social media that the people of South Bend become more aware of what's going on down here. People need to take an involvement in terms of their own council. We will represent them not just in one time of the year, but throughout the year. And people need to come to meetings, they need to watch the meetings, they need to do that, because when more people are watching, people behave better. I hope to behave better, okay? When there's nobody in the room, a few people in the room, there's times that the people have been screaming and yelling and getting everything else, and people have gotten away with that because people didn't see it. People saw it yesterday. I mean, go places all morning, hang in there, praying for you, because they saw it. They saw the reports that the media has said. They saw the social media. And so I also think that we have to have a rules committee, but the people in the rules committee were sitting there doing it, but I still got to go through the process of doing that. I also think that we need to have a new attorney for the South Bend Common Council, because Bob Palmer said to me, well, you didn't vote for me. And so therefore retaliation because I didn't vote for him. Whether I vote for people or not, once his decision is done, I didn't vote for President Lee. But once he's become the president, I said, hey, you're the president. That's okay. We have a right to vote. And then once the vote is done, I can accept the loss. I've lost. I'm a Cub fan, so I have to accept loss. You know, therefore we have to move forward. And so we have to learn how to move forward and still be able to continue our life. You got my point? And so that's what we have to do, and not throw the ball just because we lost. Luke Brick has advised them of the fallacy of that kind of a situation because of the fact that you are dealing with me as a public official. If I do something crazy or run the light or beat somebody or do something, even little things, I make the news. Why? Because I'm a public official, okay? And so therefore, we're having this meeting because I'm a public. I not only have to deal with the public, I'm a licensed clinical social worker and I'm everything else. And so I'm a public. When it comes down to that, let's take for instance, once they moved the location of that room to that, it became public, okay? Since it's public, we are not going back on what we did last year. First of all, last year was ridiculous too. I already opened up and said we were gone. And since they said that, we left. Since it became public, I have a right to sit in my seat. I do not have a right to comment. I do not have a right to vote, which I did not do. I didn't even get my name tag out there, but I have a right. In that ordinance, it does not say that I have to sit in the audience. In that ordinance, it does not say that I cannot be in the room. In that ordinance, it does not give the clerk the responsibility to sit on the council's table. In that ordinance, it does not say that I have to only be on the media on things. It doesn't say any of that. I know that they know that they were trying to play you. Do not follow the games of Bob Palmer. And he even tried to confuse everybody. Well, an executive session. It's not an executive session. Y'all wouldn't have been there. You wouldn't have been there if it's an executive session. Your media is not allowed. The public is not allowed. So he tried to confuse you all with that. I know how he does that. Yes?
Can they still hold, still want to run the meeting as if it was an executive session?
You cannot still run the meeting when it's a public meeting. Because you cannot do that. You cannot have your private and public and eat the same thing. I cannot chew and keep my mouth quiet at the same, stuff. You can't have both. And he was trying to play both laws at the same time. How can you have half the media and not have the media? Furthermore, Councilwoman Sherry Bowden Simpson came to the meeting. Not one word was shared. They didn't say anything to her. Why not? They should have said, we just counseled Davis not to be here. Why are you here? Didn't say that. Bianca Tirado was sitting up there. Ms. Tirado, could you please give the roll? Typically, this is what we do. We give the announcements to those who are the members, and then we acknowledge those who are council members. Today, before I started, I thank you all for coming. There are council members here, even former ones. I have to acknowledge them. If I go before a church and do a funeral things, if I see a council member who served in the 70s, I have to acknowledge them. That's courtesy. And I see that we have former councilwoman or core council member or former mayor. If I was in a room and former Mayor Steve Lickey was here, I need to acknowledge him. Now, does he have anything to sit up there and perform the service? Absolutely not, because I'm in charge now. But I have to acknowledge the fact that he needs the leadership. My mama taught me respect. RESPECT. That's respect. So you open the meeting, you identify who the people are, you acknowledge the council members who came, and you proceed. Next question.
May I ask one question, Councilman Davis, because we are in Black history. We feel your pain, and you have put the city of South Bend on pause. Going forward, we have a council meeting on Monday. Can you tell us what that will look like? Will you boycott? Will you have a reprimand for those there? What does that next meeting look like for you?
Well, the next meeting looks like for me, I'm going to attend the meetings that I'm on the committee. I'll attend the meetings that I'm not on the committee. I'll plan to be there. I plan to share my thoughts on the different items that we will be addressing. I plan to vote yay or nay on different ones. And then I also plan to share with them a letter basically sharing again that we have gone ahead and filed different kind of rules committees actions against the members I've told you. Councilwoman Rachel Thomas Morgan, Councilwoman Ophelia Rogers, and our attorney. I will put that there from that standpoint. I don't boycott because I can't boycott because y'all voted me to get in there to fight.
Will an apology from those you just mentioned satisfy your...
I always accept apologies, but it needs to be a public apology. Public actions demand public apologies. Private matters demand private. If I'm eating with you and me, and we going out and I said something that offended you and we only the two know about it, I'll say, Pastor, I'm sorry, and you say that. But if it's a public thing, I'm at your church, I'm at a meeting, and I do that, I need to give you a public apology.
So Oliver, I been at these meetings for well over a decade. I've seen you up there in your seat for all these years. Myself personally, I think you've been very respectful and you look out for everyone in this community. I don't agree that the rest of council members do the same. But last night, I was embarrassed by the actions that were taken by these people. And it kind of brought back memories of Roseland, when the Snyders controlled Roseland. And they were having people physically hauled out of their meeting. Public wasn't allowed to speak. This has now been going on for about 2 years. And you know I was very active for many, many years. And I've kind of just been in the background watching things from at home. But now it's like they came up and kicked the dog's cage. And I'm going to have to start coming back and holding them accountable. I have some choice words for them at the next meeting. And all I can say is, if you remember, when Bill Redmond wanted to run for sheriff and Tim Corbett jumped in the race, and many people in this community did not want Corbett as sheriff, you know what I did. I sat with trucks with flashing lights in front of Metro Homicide. I went and visited coffee houses. I did everything in my power to make sure that he did not get elected. Well, you can tell your council people that they woke the I Spy guy again, and I will do during the next election what I did to make sure they don't get reelected to their seats, because they're supposed to be the best we have in our community. They're supposed to represent us, and they don't represent me because I don't treat people that way. And as far as I'm concerned, I believe you should look at getting a restraining order. When that woman was in your face, look at that video again. Not only was she over you like a mother hen, and you were in a chair, so she was above you. She had a pen in her hand, dude. She could have put your eye out with that shaking hand.
That's why I didn't move. My mama, rest her soul, was almost 6 feet tall. And I tell you, even my mama gave me more respect to that when I was totally in trouble. Okay? And you know, and for out of respect to her own child. And so therefore, you, Rachel Thomas Morgan, I tell you, if I was doing that and had a pen, I don't have a pen on me, but if I had a pen and or my keys and I was doing this, okay? You all would have had this interview with me over at the St. Joe County Jail. And hopefully somebody would bill me out, but that's the truth of the matter is it would have been there. That's why I had to stay still. Again, we're talking about reverse discrimination. That's reverse gender discrimination, and she cannot do that. She has the power. She's the vice president now. I'm a council member. She has the power throwing this in my face, in my personal space. Again, Pastor, thank you for being a good role model. I appreciate it.
I respect you for staying seated and staying calm. And I'll just end with this. Us Davises need to stick together.
Well, I appreciate it. He's a Davis from another mother. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming and everything. I'll see you at the family reunion. Again, thank you. We're here to serve the people, y'all. We're here to serve the people. And if the Rules Committee, if they have voted to move forward with other issues, it would have been sent to the council. And so therefore, my due diligence by taking the time to come yesterday, a meeting was announced 48 hours, I came, sat there, and was obliterated. That's the best thing. Totally disrespected. I was just pitiful. And I had to shake about that. I had to just say, wow. I thank people for their prayers. I'll close with this. I appreciate the prayers that came. People were sending me prayers all night last night. They were texting me prayers. They were sending me prayers. The people of South Bend. I live in a town where I don't have any relatives. I don't have any relatives here, y'all. But who's been my relatives? The people of South Bend. People of South Bend. When I fly places to come back, I get to the South Bend gate. Hey, the people in South Bend. My mama's gone. My daddy got dementia. No, don't know me anymore. Okay, my sisters live in other places. My daughter's gone. I haven't seen my little one in years. Y'all my family. And my dog. I got to give her credit. And so thank you. I'm about to go pick her up. She's getting her nails done and her coat done right now. And so, therefore, I thank you for that. Because y'all been my family. Y'all been the ones who voted for me. Some people have been the ones who voted against me, but they still love me too. And so, but whether you did or not, I'm in council at least until the end of this term, which will make a total of 16 plus years. 16 years on transport, 16 years here, 9 years on the zoning, MACOG. I put my life into the city. When Charles Martin, Melvin Reed, who was my buddy, he had prayer with me before I came out here. And he got me out here, put up yard signs in the rain. Now he's 80 years old. Hey, you know, I stand on the shoulders of Charles Martin and all these other people in this town. And they would not want me to have stood up yesterday. They wanted me to have stayed in my seat. And I did.
Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe to the WSBT 22 YouTube channel.